welcome back to my beauty channel. So today is going to be my first attempt at a makeup tutorial, so please bear with me while I do this look. It may be a little bit drawn out, so I'm sorry, but this is going to be a morning or daytime to nighttime look. It's pretty easy to transition from a daytime look to a nighttime look. So let's jump right in. So first, skincare. You start off with skincare. You can look down below in the link, and it will put you to my skincare routine / products I use to kind of explain basic skincare. So prep your face is a big part of what you need to do for a makeup look to stay on as long as possible. Then you're going to apply an eyeshadow primer. Now this is my favorite. It's the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer in Eden. This one is specifically for people with light skin like me, because it covers up all the discoloration in the eyes. But for most people, I do use the original. So keep that in mind. I love the Urban Decay eyeshadow primers. So then I'm going to start off with the eyes. I'm going to take a shadow brush, which is a flat brush like this. It's very thin, very flat, and it is literally to pack on color. So I'm going to take my MAC Warm Neutral eyeshadow palette. I love this palette because you have a lot of different colors in it, and I'm going to use the colors in this palette for this look. I'm going to take this color down below right here. I'm going to put that all over my lid, into my crease, just all over my eye pretty much, up into my crease, and blend out. So I'm just going to pack the color on. And guys, practice makes perfect, but with packing on the color, literally I just place the color where I want it to go, and then I blend out. So I'm going to take this brush, which is like a domed, it's between a dome brush and a blending brush. It's a little bit longer than a typical dome brush, but it's a little bit fluffier as well, but it's not as fluffy as a typical blending brush. So I'm going to take that same color, I'm just going to dip that brush into the color, and I'm going to literally place it in my crease. And I'm just going to gently blend. I'm going to do the same to the other side. This color is a very pretty, like, gold color. This is pretty neutral as well. It's not going to be too overpowering, which I really like. So I'm just going to continue blending that out. Okay, so now I'm going to take this shade right here, this light cream shade. I'm going to take this and put it under my eyebrow as a little bit of a matte highlight. This will also help blend out any harsh lines or anything like that, which is why I really like this color. But once again, if you do have darker a darker skin tone, just go with a powder or an eyeshadow that is very similar to your skin color, just a shade lighter. So keep that in mind. You don't have to use all these colors. If I were to do a African American woman, I typically go with this eyeshadow versus this one. It's a little bit darker, and it's not going to turn out like ashy or anything on their skin. It's going to be shimmery, like a coppery color, and that's great for during the day. It's not going to be too overpowering. So once I do that, this is my eyeshadow for the day, pretty much. I'm going to do a little bit of a drop shadow. Let me pull out that. Sorry. So I'm going to take a combination of these two colors, and I'm going to do a little bit of a drop shadow. So what a drop shadow is just a little bit of shadow underneath the eye to create a little bit of a shadow effect without doing any harsh liner. It's a great technique to just add a little definition without being too overpowering. Just a little bit more. Okay, so that's my drop shadow. It's just very slight shadow underneath my eye. So then what I do is eyeliner. So eyeliner for the daytime, I personally do a little bit of a wing, but if you don't want that wing effect, you can just do regular eyeliner. I'm going to use the Kat Von D tattoo liner. This one's very easy to use. You just draw on your lash line like you would draw a mark on a piece of paper. It is super easy. See? So that is just a thin line on my lash line. So that's just a thin, natural line for your day look. I'm going to leave it at this, but if you do feel confident in a winged liner, you could easily do that. But in this look, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to leave it at this. So then, going on to skin. Skin is so important when you are doing a makeup look. If your skin is looking all cakey and crazy, there's lines, it's not blended, your whole look will look completely off. So I'm going to show you what I normally do. So I have the Becca Cosmetics Backlight Priming Filter as my primer for my face. I'm just going to take a pump of that and smooth it on my face. This gives a very nice luminous effect without being too luminous. Sometimes when you get luminous primers, it's like a glitter bomb on your face. This one isn't. It's very hydrating and just gives a nice sheen to your skin. underneath your foundation. So then what I do, this is the Hourglass foundation in the stick formula. I really like this foundation, other than the fact that it is somewhat oily. So if you have oily skin, I would stick with something more like Makeup Forever HD or even a drugstore brand, as long as it doesn't contain SPF, which is super hard to find in the drugstore, unfortunately. What SPF actually does, if you're taking a lot of pictures, if you're on the runway, if you're in front of cameras and things like that, it will cast back white and you will look really pale in the pictures, even though that it is the right shade. So, with that being said, I am going to show you how I use this Hourglass Stick Foundation. This one is super easy. I literally just do a few stripes on my face, down the center of my nose, a bird, whiskers, and a U. So that's how I apply this foundation. It is so easy. I take a buffer brush like this. This is the e.l.f. buffer brush, $6 at Walmart. It is actually a really nice brush. You do have to replace these pretty frequently because of the fact that they are pretty cheaply made, but they're great for the job. So what I do is I just buff it out. And then I do my nose last, just because of the fact that I find when you rub your nose a lot, buffing it out, it can break up really easy. So I do my nose last, and I use less product on my nose as well. So then I go in, see how easy that was? And I buff it down my neck just a little bit to make sure there's no lines. So then I go in with my Naked Skin Urban Decay color correcting fluid in the peach, because I have dark under eye circles. If you have dark under eye circles, use peach. This will counteract that blue color under your eyes. So I just put a swipe under both eyes. Once again, I take my big buffing brush and just blend it out. After I do my color correction, I typically go in with the Naked Skin, just the weightless concealer, the regular one, in a shade lighter than what I normally wear on my skin to highlight underneath my eyes. This will help counteract darkness as well. And when blended in with your foundation, it's not going to show up like you have raccoon eyes or anything like that. As long as it's blended properly, like that, you won't have raccoon eyes. You can also use a beauty blender for this step as well, for your foundation and concealer. I personally don't use them very often. I prefer brushes, but whatever you feel most comfortable with, use that. So then what I do is mascara. This is my favorite mascara. It is the L'Oreal Voluminous. This one works really well on my lashes. It lengthens, it thickens, and you really don't have to spend a arm and a leg for a good mascara. What you want to do for mascara is definitely start at the root of your lash, wiggle, and then bring up. Wiggle, then bring up. And I typically do like 2 coats of mascara. To create the length and volume that I want. I typically add a little bit underneath on my lower lash line. So that's the mascara. It's a very simple eye look. So after I do my foundation, my concealer, I go in for contour, blush, and highlight. So with contour, blush, and highlight, I typically love using a tapered face brush like this. You can do all 3 jobs and do shading around the outside of your forehead and your jawline, all with this brush. So I'm going to start with contour. Now with contour, this is my favorite contour palette right here. It is the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. They do have the new one that came out with the replaceable pans, which I'm super thankful about. So keep that in mind when it comes to contour powders and things like that, sets especially. Try to find something that's more eco-friendly, that you're just replacing the actual pan itself versus like the whole entire kit, even though that you only need 1 color out of it. So what I typically do to contour is I stick right here, I put my brush right there, and I just etch out my cheekbone. So a way to help look at your cheekbone, suck in your lips, make a fish face, and that is where you put your contour. I bring up my contour in a triangle because I have a circle or a oval face, so I like to thin out my face. So I just bring up that contour in a V shape or a triangle shape, like that. And with these brushes, especially this one, which is by Kat Von D, they also have one by Real Techniques that I like. I use this one as well. It's fluffy, so it's not super packed, so you blend out really easily. So I'm going to go ahead and do contour on the other side. And I also do a little bronzer, which I'm using this one as the bronzer because it's more warm versus cool. And I just dust that around my forehead, around my temples. I'll even bring it underneath just to buff out just a little bit. Not necessarily to contour my under jaw, But to give my skin a little bit of color, I am super duper pale. With my especially deep, dark African American skinned girls, I actually mix in black into a lot of their contour colors to give them that definition that they want, especially if they're gonna have photo shoot, runway, things like that. If you want something a little bit more dark and deep, definitely add in just a slight amount of black into the contour powder, and this will help make it stand out a little bit more, because a lot of like bronzers and contour colors are not actually dark enough for African Americans, which really sucks. So keep that in mind. That's a little tip that I've learned over the years. Just add a little bit of black to contour out those cheeks. Not racing stripes. Make sure just to add it in with your bronzer or contour color to darken it. So then I go in with my blush. Now, I think I'm going to go with this color. This color is my favorite. It's in between a pink and a peach and a nude. It's just it's a pinky nude color, and I love it. So what I do is just smile and just tap it and blend out. Tap and blend out. So there's my blush. It's very subtle. For African Americans, I typically go either orange, red, or hot pink. Burgundies, like really gorgeous colors, are deeper skin tones. They're amazing in the pan themselves. They look super pigmented and super bright, but in reality, on those richer skin tones, it's not that bright. So keep that in mind, that even though that looks bright in the pan for richer skin tones, it's not going to be that bright on your skin tone. So then I'm going to go to highlight. This is the same brush. I'm going to use the Balm Highlight Mary Luminizer. This is my favorite. You need to use very little to create the highlight effect that you want. What I do is the tops of the cheeks, around the eye socket, down the nose, right over the lip, and sometimes on my chin, because I like a really glowy look. You don't necessarily need to put it in all those places. I just personally like to. So that is my highlight, contour, and blush for this look. Then I'm going to fill in my brows. So for me, brows are very, very, very important. What I do is I first take a spoolie and I brush them out, get them into a nice shape. And a lot of times when you do your foundation, a little bit of that foundation gets into your brow. Sometimes a little bit of your eyeshadow powder will get up into your brow. So I personally like to fill in my brows just a smidgen. Even if I don't really want my brows to look filled in, I do still fill in my brows, because I feel like a lot of people don't fill in their brows and they really need to. It helps just shape your face. So what I typically do is I start under the brow and make a little bit of a line. This is my mirror, sorry guys. And I just make a line all the way across. And depending on how you like your brows filled in, if you like them very softly filled in, if you want them to look very natural, if you like them to look really filled in, will determine what product is best for you. I'm using a pencil right now. I have typically used a gel formula and a brush. And this is what I typically use, and it is the NYX Brow Gel. In the squeezy tube, I use a angled brush to fill in my brows. But recently, I've really been liking this taupe colored eyeshadow or pencil for my brows. So what I do is make small little strokes. I follow the pattern of my brow. I do not try to like draw them in. Some people do need that though, so it's not necessarily a bad thing if you are drawing in your brows. Some people need it. I typically have pretty thick eyebrows, so I don't need to. Once again, I'm just drawing that first line under the brow, filling in the ends, and then short strokes up at the front. See? And it looks very natural. It doesn't look like I have a huge drawn-on eyebrow or anything like that. And then what I'm going to do is lips. Lips are just a thing to complete the look. You can do a gloss, you can do lip liner, lipstick. I'm actually going to use a liquid lipstick by Stila Stay All Day liquid lipsticks because it stays all day. You can eat, drink, all those types of things, so I love it. And it's really easy to make a crisp, clean line. I start at my Cupid's bow. And I work down to the sides of my lips. So that is the daytime look. It's very simple, very easy. For the nighttime look, you're going to only do a few simple steps to create this look to make it more dramatic for nighttime. So I'm going to take this palette, once again, I'm going to take the darkest eyeshadow in here, which is this one right here. I'm going to dunk my brush into it. And what I'm going to start doing is carving out my crease. So see how much more dramatic this side is versus this side. So then you can do your winged eyeliner at this point as well if you didn't want to do it during the day. So there's your winged eyeliner. So then, with this look, you can add on false lashes. Whoops, and I just dropped it. I don't know where that one went. So for false lashes, it's pretty easy. You're going to hold the false lash up to your eyelid and measure how much you need to take off. So I need to take off a little bit off this end right here. Okay. And then I'm going to trim the front just a little bit. Then I'm going to take the glue. This is the Adele Strip Lash Adhesive. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this lash adhesive, but it'll work for today. I typically go with the what is it called? Duo lash glue, but the latex free one, because I am allergic to latex. If I do put latex glue on my eye area, it becomes very itchy, very awful. You do not want to do that. So if you know you're allergic to latex, keep that in mind. With lashes, I like to use tweezers to